Thank you very much. Much love and everybody listening. Today is my third episode of, in my opinion, and this is all opinions and everything that's stated into this show does not coincide with everything that has to deal with Dre's Radio Cafe. This is strictly my opinion and my opinion only, and listening pleasure is advised. All right, so let's talk about uh, consequences and the bed you make, you should lie in. All right. So everybody has these issues that they have down the line, one way or another, whether it be through a relationship, job opportunities, finances, home building, children, anything of that nature. And I feel like at some point or another, we all have our own consequences in our own beds that we make that we have to lie in. All right. Uh, for example, my situation is simple. It's not the greatest, um, but it is what it is. Uh, Going through the motions of divorce is not the best thing in the world. Some people don't get married to get divorced. What we normally do is we get into a relationship thinking that a relationship will be what is best for us as a couple. And things may happen down the line that doesn't address what has really gone on and what's really happened in life. Namely, like just not getting to know each other or going through the motions and not really feeling comfortable with each other, things of that nature. There's two sides, there's actually three sides to a story. There's one side, the right way, the wrong way, and there's the truth. All right. So there's no real positive right way answer, and there's no real negative way answer, and there is a truth answer to all of it. The way things roll out sometimes does not coincide with the way that things should be. Um, there has been times that in relationships, I have run into an issue of thinking that this person might be that right person for me, then find out that person was not the right person for me because it was somebody else that I had in the past or somebody I have ran across and never gave the opportunity. There's also been coincidences where you think you're with the right thing and you're really with the wrong thing. I mean, it coincides with each other. So it's a lot of different aspects and things to that nature. Um, I am at the present moment recording this while I am watching my son, my stepson, play football. He's really my son. I've known him since he was one, and so I don't change that. It's never going to be a change for me. I'm still always going to be daddy, even though he has a dad that's living and can take care of him and could be around him if he wanted to. And his mom is present, so I mean, there's no real big deal. I am his daddy, longevity, however you want to say it, whatever the case may be. Um, I've made some mistakes in my life. I'm not here to say that I am perfect because I'm far from perfect. There is people out there in this world that assume that everything that they do is just above and beyond what greatness is. That is fine if that's the person that you choose to be. And I'm not. I repeat, I am not going to bash that person. The reason I say that is because at the end of the day, these people look in the mirror and they see themselves. If they see themselves as being perfectly correct, then that's them being perfectly correct. If I look in the mirror and I see myself as not being perfectly correct, the next day I'm trying to improve myself or that very moment. Now, when I sit here and I say that there is times that you have people that are imperfect or not on their A game or whatever, that's not to say that they're not doing what they should be doing. It coincides with anything in life. The choices that you make at work. If you run into your boss and your boss says, "Hey, I want to give you a promotion. This promotion consists of blah, blah, so and so, this, that, and the other." It is your opportunity, your thought process right then and there, whether or not you want to take that opportunity or not take that opportunity. If you don't take that opportunity, you have to understand that at the end of the day, whatever happens, you have that bed that you made that you have to lie in. So, say for example, your boss comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to give you a raise. I want to promote you. I think you're deserving of this job, whatever the case may be. Say you take this job and you realize after taking this job is not what it pans out to be, but you took it. That's the consequence. That's what you have to deal with. That is the bed you made. You have to lie with it. You have to lie in it. I'm sorry. It could go one of three ways. It can go the right way, the wrong way, or the way it should have went. All right. There's never a right or wrong answer to anything in life. We go through the motions of thinking that everything has to be one way or another. There's also things that happen that coincides with how people think. If you're in a situation of for example, a marriage, and your marriage is on the rocks and there's issues involved in the marriage, you have things that have to be done, that have to be said, or have to be addressed. Whether you address them things or not address them things, or there's always going to be a consequence to something. All right. For example, if you are in a marriage and your marriage is on the rocks and you have to decide, hey, do I need to continue this marriage or go another route? You can ask that person that you're with, or that spouse that you're with, or whoever you're with, hey, what do we do? And they can give you an answer. That's not going to be the best. It may not be the best answer, or it may not be what you want to hear, but it is an answer. If you get the answer you want to hear, then good. If it's not the answer you want to hear and you address it to something else, then it is what it is. We go through life on a constant basis of someone always having to be right and someone always having to be wrong. There can never be an in between, which there is sometimes an in between. The problem with the in between thing is that there's no uh, reconciling. There's no communication. There's sometimes no communication. There's sometimes no negotiation. There's probably no, compromise. And when that happens, there becomes an issue. The reason there becomes an issue is because, say your spouse wants more quality time. You can't address more quality time. It's not fair to that person that can't get the quality time because you can't address that quality time. You can either address that quality time and make that quality time for them, or you have to compromise in something. If you can't compromise in something, that's where divorces come in as reconcilable differences or whatever the case may be. But then there's sometimes that it's not the case. Well, whether it's the case or not the case, you still have to have a sense of, understanding. I know there's a lot of people out there that don't get closure, and they always wonder that what if, and that's the third part of that sometimes, or that what could have been, because there's a right way, a wrong way, and there's an honest to God truth, or whatever should be the right way, period. And when people don't get that closure, that causes issues. Is that fair to the person that is having to lay in a bed that has spikes in it because there's no closure? Or is it fair to the one that's laying in a bed full of feathers and they're comfortable at nighttime because they don't care of what the other person is going through because of the compromise not being met? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. But I do know that in relationships, there has to be a compromise and there has to be a understanding. At the same time, too, I also believe that when you make a bed, you lie in it. So if I choose that I don't want to be involved anymore, or that person chooses they don't want to be involved anymore, they have that right. But taking understanding that if that person's right is to leave a situation to be in a different situation and not give that person that they're with a closure or any kind of bare understanding, then there's really no compromise. It's really just somebody being selfish. That's a totally different story. Can it be understand or understood? Yes, it can. Can it be taken in consideration that what is wrong is wrong and what's right is right? That's always been the case for some people. Um, you cannot assume that anything is taken for granted until you see it. That's why when somebody always talks to me and I give them this impression, I tell them all the time, I trust you or trust a scenario until I cannot trust a scenario. Meaning, you can tell me whatever you want to, and I believe it until I cannot believe it no more because it's not true, or it's false truth, or it's not what it should be. Hey, I'm gonna be at my friend's house hanging out, whatever, whatever. but you're really at the club. That's false truth. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, you have to understand too that sometimes we make bets we don't even like to lie in. Now, there has to be some kind of understanding and some form of, respect in some senses or another. And that's on another level of relationships. But as we sit here and we conversate about making beds that we lie in or understanding things that we go through, uh, you have to take in consideration that the other party has feelings too. And you don't just go off your feelings all the time because that's being selfish. What I mean by this is that if, for example, I am a person that my love language changes. Or it doesn't change a lot, but it changes. And it doesn't change because I want it to change. It changes because of the situations. I am a type of person that don't have to be impressed by money. Does not have to be impressed by, you know, what you have or what you do or what you make. I'm more of the type of person that likes either quality time or, forms of affirmation, you know, uh, just being around. And that's cool. There's people out there that have their love languages being gift giving. And if that's your form of gift giving, that's fine. But you have to understand that the person that you're dealing with, whether your spouse, not your spouse, or your friend, best friend, whatever the case may be, has to have an understanding of what your love language is. So if your love language is giving, and this person is not one of them type of people like myself that don't really care too much for the giving part, I'd rather have the quality time because my quality time is more precious than anything. And I know I'm not the best person when it comes to quality time all the time, but it's just an understanding of who you're dealing with. Now, you can take it full blast, or you can take it half circle. It's a bad thing that you're dealing with somebody that is a gift giver and likes to give gifts and stuff, and you're dealing with a person that doesn't really want gifts, rather have quality time. No, that's not an issue. There has to be a compromise. That's why sometimes when some people tend to be a yes person, it's not because they want to be a yes person. They're being a yes person because they don't want to disappoint the person on the other side that's being the receiver and not the taker. So there has to be a balance in the world. I tell everybody this because the world can't be perfect. You can't wake up every morning and there's no guns, there's no violence, there's no anything. Because there's no guns, no violence, no guns, no nothing. Then there is people out in this world that is gonna love somebody, but they're gonna hurt them to hurt people in a sense. You can't have a balance of all good and never have nothing that's evil. That's just not how the world works. We rotate on a gyro of a gyrus of the idea that good and evil has to exist. That's why you have villains in movies. That's why you have villains in comic books. That's why you have, right ways and wrong ways. That's why you have a judge to determine what's bad and what's good. There is that balance there. All right. So we have to understand that balance and take in consideration, you know, negotiation, understanding, not being selfishness, this, that, and other. For that to be said, we have to understand that like the bed we lay in or the bed we make is the bed we have to lie in sometimes. So if you are this type of person and you don't like what you have and you can't negotiate anything else, just understand it's the bed you have to lie in. I'm not using anything in a bad example. Let's just take for example, uh, guys with a girl. Guys with a girl. He's been with her for some time now. Uh, Short dating, whatever you want to call it, however you want to express it. Um, and he cheats on her with another girl, and the other girl either gets pregnant or you know is crazy or however the case may be. This man now has to decide whether he wants to because the girl that he's been with for a while that he cheated on, not cheated with, cheated on, uh, now has to decide what she's going to do. Now, two people are making their own beds at the same time, deciding what they're going to do. Because here's the thing: the one he cheated on with, that he's cheated on, has to make a bed of her own, deciding whether or not she wants to be with him or if she wants to stay. Now, if she stays, she has to deal with the consequences. The consequences are he might have a girl pregnant, whatever the case may be on that side. If she decides to leave, she makes her own bed. Now, guess what? Now, whatever comes with me leaving him is that consequence. Whether it make her happy and she goes off, she finds somebody else, or whether, whatever the case may be on that side. The same thing has to be done for the guy part now, because the guy has to understand him doing what he did causes a consequence. He has to think whether or not staying in his bed is good for him or whether or not he needs to fix the situation. Now, whether he decides either or is on him. But regardless, there still is a consequence, and a bed that has to be made and a bed that has to be lied in. Now, whether it's with the girl that he cheated on or whether it's the girl he's cheated with, two different people. If he decides to make the bed in line with the girl he cheated with, then the one that has been cheated on has to make a bed of her own and lie in it. Now, if he decides to make a bed with the one he's cheated on, he has to make sure that whatever he's done in that past with the one he's cheated with has to coincide with the consequences of the one that he's cheated on. So if she says, I'm with you, whatever happens with this one, it is what it is, but the buck stops here. So it is one of the two. But at all costs, there has to be a bed made that somebody has to lie in, whether it's one bed or two beds. It is what it is. So taking in that, you have to understand that there's consequences to everything, and somebody has to make a bed to lie in. Now, what is the outcome for these situations? It's totally different, because there can be 101 different reasons, and there can be 101 different scenarios. The reason I say that is because let's take, for example, the same scenario. If the guy stays with the girl that he cheated on and they work it out, now the consequences are they have to deal with a child in their relationship that is not conceived of the one that he cheated on, but the one he cheated with. So he has to deal with a woman that he's cheated with and a woman that he cheated on having to coincide. If they can't coincide, then it's going to be an issue. Now, say, for example, the one that he cheated with decides to turn psycho. And she's mad because she's not getting what she deserves, or feel a certain kind of way, or is mistreated or misfunctioned. It can go far right or far left. She can be just the type that would just be like, hey, come get your kid, whatever the case may be. And it can be what it is going to be. Or it can be the type of person that is going to slash your tires, meet you at work, drop the baby off unexpectedly. Don't give a flying fuck what you say or what you do. Excuse my language, I'm sorry. What you do or what you say. It can be a number of things. At the end of the day, though, whatever bed the guy made and whatever bed that the female that he cheated on is with made, if they coincide for that situation, they both have to deal with that situation. Even though it's not fair to the one he cheated on, but it is what it is. All right. Now, let's say he stays with the one that he cheated on, and she coincides with him, and they're good. Maybe after a while, she's getting a little upset because guess what? He didn't have a child by this one, but never had a child with her. So new bed having to be made, new bed having to be lied in, because she might get upset and say, hey, I can't do this, whatever. A number of things happen because we live in a world where the axis goes 365. Now, the sun can come up tomorrow, she can be happy. The next day, it can go down, she can be mad. Either way, or what has to happen is there has to be an understanding and a resolution to the whole scenario. Whether it means going separate ways, making two different beds, being a different kind of way, it is what it is. But one thing that does not have to happen is you don't have to go away upset and hateful to each other. There's a possibility that things can get better in time. Can we say that anything is possible to happen? Yes, it is possible to happen, but it does not have to necessarily mean instantaneously, because there's going to be people that is not going to agree with what goes on, regardless of what it is. The people that are involved have to be the ones that make the final decision. And whatever bed they decide to make is the bed they have to deal with at the end of the day. All right. I am a firm believer in a lot of things. I'm a firm believer in karma. Karma is you can put whatever words you want into it there, and you can fan it out for whatever it's worth. I'm also a firm believer in the word of God. And I'm also a believer in the idea that God doesn't put more on you that you cannot handle. Regardless of what bed you make, at the end of the day, your character justifies who you are. Okay? What do I mean by that? I'm going to touch on this, and then I'm going to let this whole episode of In My Opinion, be what it's going to be. I know I'm taking a lot of hits for what I'm saying in some of this stuff, and I dearly apologize to y'all, but don't get my character mixed up with what I say. So my character is, people that know me, is I'm cool till I'm not cool. Meaning you mess with family, you mess with, friends, people important to me, anything of that nature, you'll see the beast come out. I usually call myself the beast because I'm always around princess, and princess is beauty. So Beauty and the Beast. All right. So I hate to be the beast in a lot of situations, but I am a firm believer on right is right and wrong is wrong. So if I'm at fault and I'm wrong, I'm going to say I'm at fault and I'm wrong. My character is going to justify my who I am. Okay, because of the track record. All right. You can say I've been in 3 marriages, 3 bad divorces, however you like to say it. That may be your opinion. My opinion is I don't regret anything I've done in my past, meaning I'm not going to regret any of my marriages because out of each one of my marriages came something, meaning children, meaning relationships, meaning a learning lesson. You would think third time would be the charm. I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? I know whatever bet I made at the end of the day, I line it. But my character is still going to be my character. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can say, oh, well, Dre's 3 marriages, he's got to have problems. Doesn't necessarily have to mean I have problems. My problems could be different than what you assume they are. Does that mean that my problems are consistent with everything that goes on for the person to the next person to the next person? And that is a no. I'm going to tell you why that's a no. Because here's the thing. Marriage number one could have been bad for one reason. Marriage number two could have been bad for one reason. Marriage number three could be bad for a reason. And they're all probably not the same reasons. Do we sit back and we judge that? We do. Because here's the thing. We label things different. A guy that gets married and divorced 3 times is probably the same thing as a woman that gets married 3 times and divorced 3 times. All right. It's no different than labeling, you know, a girl that's out with a lot of guys is called one thing, a guy that's out with a lot of girls is called another thing. All matter how you view that opinion. All right. It's neither here nor there. All I know is your character is always going to be determined of who you are. So if you're a gentleman and you're nice and you're understanding, and you're this person, you're godly fearing, you take care of things at home, whatever the case may be, your character is always going to be your character. All right. Don't let your character be tarnished by people who don't appreciate or accept who you are. Let your character be that person that you are, basically. I mean, I am who I am for a reason. I know a lot of people say I'm an asshole. A lot of people say that I am this bad guy. A lot of people say that I am, this, that, and other. In my work ethic, I am. Because I am stern about my work ethic and I take a lot of pride in my work. If people ever know me or be around me or been near me or ever been in my presence, know that my job, I take it seriously. I am prior military. I've tried to be in the police force. I've tried everything I can possibly do in my past to be this better person. And I'm still getting better every day. I'm learning. But I will say, like, my character never changes. I'm still humble. I still have a heart. I'm still gracious. I'm still giving. I'm still, understanding. I'm a good listener. I try my best to be 100%, dedicated to whatever it is I'm doing. And it is what it is. As I sit here and I speak with y'all now, I'm looking at my son play football at 7 o'clock and it's pitch black and they got lights out here. So, I mean, I'm still dedicated to what I'm supposed to be doing. At the same time, I'm doing what I'm doing here. Uh, I don't change my character. I'm still God fearing. I'm still understanding. I'm still precious to whatever I do. My family is inspiration. A lot of things that I try to instill in my kids, I want people to understand like that is a representation of me. So, if one of my kids is slipping off or doing something wrong, it falls on me to get that right. But if I can't get that right, it falls on mom to get that right. At the same time, we're doing this together, whether I'm there or not there. But the understanding has to be that there is understanding and consequences. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to see things bad happen. I can give a speech or I not have to give a speech. I can talk. I don't have to talk. I can try to say the right things. If they come off wrong, I'm sorry. If they do right things and they're not right things, whatever the case may be, I have to make that bed and lie in it. So, you know, in closing, I want people to understand like we have things that happen. We live through things that we do. And through all of this, we have, consequences that can be either good or bad, far right, far left. Um, you have to also understand, too, that at the end of the day, you are who you are, and your character should coincide with what choices you make or what you decide. We are people of nature. We do things that are either right sometimes or wrong sometimes. Nobody in this world is perfect. We had a perfect world, it would be too easy. So we deal with it the best way we know how. Now, I will say that at the end of the day, when we go to bed or look in the mirror, we know who we're looking at, and it is what it is. If y'all would like me to touch on this more, I will, but I want to go to something totally different next week. I'm getting ready to close this out, and I hope I gave somebody enough inspiration or enough conversation to understand that you have choices and you do have consequences. You also have a character that you have to maintain. If your character is good or bad, whatever the case may be, just know what your character is worth. All right. My name is Drazy. I am the host of In My Opinion. You can watch the other two episodes. I'm sorry, on Spreaker Radio. Check me out on my station, www.drazradiocafe.com. You're welcome to call 615-540-3998. If I don't answer, feel free to leave me a message. Also, come into the chat room while you're listening to this and let me know what you think. And your notes and all of the messages and stuff that y'all leave, I will actually get back to them on a later show if I can. But I appreciate you for listening. I thank y'all so very much for being patient with me. And in closing, put God first, protect, provide, show love, and get this money. My name is Drazy, and I'm out of here till next time. Peace.